Hey everyone, and welcome back to Singapore Property Talk Law. I'm Damien, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that's practically a national sport here in Singapore. Property.
Oh,
Specifically, we're going to explore flipping new launch condos in today's market
okay.
with Serene, our property expert.
Hi, everyone. I'm Serene.
So buckle up, because we're about to unpack the strategies, the processes, and yes, the risks involved.
It's great to be here. And you're absolutely right, Damon. The allure of property flipping is strong here.
Yeah.
But anyone who's been around the block a few times knows the game's changed quite a bit, especially since the introduction of those cooling measures back in the 2010s.
Right, the playing field is definitely different now. I mean, back in the day, you could snag a condo, hold on to it for like a week, and then flip it for a hefty profit.
Wow.
Is that kind of quick turnaround even possible anymore?
Well, those days of super fast flips are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
The seller's stamp duty, or SSD as it's commonly known, has really changed the game.
Right.
Nowadays, flipping new launch condos is more about playing the long game. Okay.
Think of it as a strategic medium-term investment.
Okay.
You're looking at buying during the initial launch phase and then aiming to sell after that SSD period, which is typically 4 years.
So if we're talking strategies, what's the advantage of focusing on new launches specifically? Is it just because they're well new?
It's definitely more strategic than that.
Okay.
Developers often use a clever pricing strategy during new launches.
Right.
They'll price units lower in the early phases to attract buyers and generate buzz.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a loss leader strategy.
Right.
And for savvy investors, this creates an opportunity to buy at a lower price point and hopefully sell higher later on.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this works. So if a developer raises prices in later phases, you could potentially ride that wave and make a profit, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And research by Stacked shows that on average, selling a new launch condo after that crucial 4th year yields a profit of around 23.5%.
Wow. 23.5%. Now that's a number that gets your attention.
It is. But I'm sure there are some caveats here, Serene. What are some of the potential pitfalls or risks involved in this strategy?
You're right to be cautious, Damien. It's not a guaranteed win.
Okay.
First, you can't always bank on developers raising prices in later phases.
Right.
Sometimes they might even offer better deals later on, maybe due to market conditions or to clear remaining inventory.
Wow.
That can obviously throw a wrench in a flipper's plans.
Interesting. So the buy low, sell high strategy isn't always a sure thing.
Right.
And what about the timing? We've done the 4th year being important because of the SSD.
Yeah.
Could you theoretically sell right after that 3-year mark to avoid the SSD altogether?
You could, but remember, timing is everything in property.
Yeah.
Selling right after the 3-year SSD period might mean missing out on potential profit.
Right.
Stack's data shows that the average gain for selling after just 3 years is significantly lower, around 12.2%.
Okay.
This difference in profit is interesting, right?
Definitely. Why do you think that is? Does it have something to do with buyer preferences?
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Buyers tend to be more comfortable purchasing a completed unit.
Right.
They want to see the finished product, avoid potential construction delays, and know they can move in without any hassle.
Yeah.
So that 4th year, when the condo is typically fully completed, tends to be the sweet spot for sellers and buyers.
It sounds like patience is a virtue when it comes to flipping new launch condos.
Yes.
But let's say you're patient and you understand the timing. How do you even choose the right condo to flip in the first place?
Choosing the right property is absolutely crucial, and it's a multi-layered process.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as pointing at a shiny new development and saying, I'll take that one.
So what are some of the key factors to consider when making that decision?
First and foremost, location, location, location.
Of course.
This is the golden rule of real estate, and it's especially true for flipping.
Right?
You want to be looking at condos in neighborhoods that are already in high demand, places with good connectivity amenities and lifestyle factors.
Right. It has to be a place that people actually want to live in
Yes.
and are willing to pay a premium for.
Yeah, exactly.
Because ultimately you need someone to buy that condo from you down the line, right?
Exactly. And it can't just be about the present. You also need to be thinking about the future.
Right.
What kind of growth potential does the neighborhood have? Are there any planned infrastructure projects or developments that could boost property values down the line? These are the kinds of questions you need to be asking.
This is where things get a little more complex, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about looking at what's there today, but also trying to anticipate what the area might be like in a few years.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about finding a nice condo in a good location.
Yeah.
It's about understanding market trends
Yeah.
and being able to analyze the potential for future growth.
Exactly. It's about doing your homework and understanding the dynamics of the market.
Right.
And speaking of market trends, there's another crucial aspect to consider that can heavily influence your flipping strategy.
Let's hear it. What else do we need to keep in mind?
It's all about those external factors, that
Yeah.
can have a significant impact on your flipping strategy.
Yeah.
Things like economic conditions, interest rates, and government policies can really shake things up,
Right?
even if you've done everything else right.
Ah, yes, the ever-present hand of the government.
Exactly.
I remember back in 2023 when they doubled the stamp duty for foreign buyers that really sent ripples through the market.
Exactly. And there have been whispers about potential new property curbs coming soon,
Oh, really?
driven by concerns over rising prices.
Right?
So even with meticulous planning and research, there's always that element of unpredictability.
So you're saying even if I found the perfect condo
Yeah.
in a prime location
Mm.
with all the right growth potential,
Uh-huh.
there's still a chance a market downturn could wipe out my profits.
That's a risk you always have to consider.
Right.
But remember, risk is inherent in any investment.
Yeah.
The key is to be aware of the potential pitfalls and to have a plan B. And, Damien, there's another layer of risk that many first-time flippers tend to overlook.
Okay.
It's not about external factors, but rather internal ones.
Internal. Now you've got me curious.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It's about understanding the potential pitfalls that can eat away at your profit margin if you're not careful.
Okay.
Those little things,
Yeah.
that can make a big difference to your bottom line.
Okay. Hit me with it. What are the most common mistakes people make when flipping?
One of the biggest ones is underestimating costs. Renovation expenses, for example, can easily spiral out of control if you're not diligent.
Right.
And don't forget about those pesky taxes and fees like the seller's stamp duty,
Oh, yeah, of course.
which can take a significant chunk out of your earnings.
You make a good point. And I imagine legal fees and agent commissions also add up.
Absolutely. Plus, there are things like prepayment penalties on home loans, which many people don't factor in.
Wow.
All these additional costs need to be carefully considered from the get-go.
Okay, so it's not just about the purchase price and the potential selling price.
Right.
There's a whole web of expenses that need to be factored into the equation.
Precisely. You need to have a clear understanding of all the costs involved to accurately assess your potential profit margin.
Oh.
It's all about those finer details. For example, did you know that prepayment penalties on home loans can vary significantly depending on the lender and the type of loan?
Oh, really?
It's definitely worth shopping around and doing your research to minimize these costs.
So, Serene, after considering all these factors, the strategic timing, the location, the market trends, and the potential pitfalls,
Yeah.
what are the key takeaways for someone who's seriously considering flipping a new launch condo in Singapore?
I think the biggest takeaway is that while flipping can still be a profitable venture, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right?
The days of easy flips and massive profits are gone.
Yeah.
Today, it requires a much more sophisticated and calculated approach.
It sounds like flipping is less about speculation now and more about informed decision-making.
Exactly. You have to approach it like a business, weighing the pros and cons and being prepared for any eventuality.
Okay.
And if I could add one more piece of advice, it would be this. Don't underestimate the emotional toll flipping can take.
Oh.
It's a stressful process, even for seasoned investors.
Right.
There will be ups and downs, and you need to be mentally prepared for those challenges.
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a potential big win,
Yeah.
but it's equally important to be prepared for the stress and uncertainty that come with the territory.
Absolutely. It's about having realistic expectations and understanding that flipping is not a passive investment. It requires time, effort, and a certain level of risk tolerance.
Well, you've certainly given us a lot to think about, Serene. It's clear that flipping new launch condos in Singapore can be a viable strategy, but it requires a much more nuanced approach than in the past.
It does. And as a final thought for our listener, I came across a really interesting question in a Reddit discussion. Someone was asking if the potential profit from flipping was worth the potential downgrade in size and location when they go to buy their next property.
Wow.
It really got me thinking about the long-term implications of this strategy.
That's a great question. I mean, it's one thing to make a profit on paper,
Yeah.
but if it means having to compromise on your living situation down the line, that's something to carefully consider.
Exactly. It all boils down to individual circumstances, financial goals, and priorities. There's no right or wrong answer.
Well said, Serene. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Okay.
I hope you found this exploration of flipping new launch condos as insightful as I have.
Thanks for having me, Damien. It's been a pleasure.
It really does make you think about the bigger picture, doesn't it? It's not just
Sure.
about the immediate profit, but also the long-term impact on your overall property journey.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to have a clear strategy and a set of goals before you even think about flipping. What are you hoping to achieve? Is it to build a property portfolio, upgrade to a bigger place, or simply to generate some extra cash flow?
Those are great questions to consider. It sounds like flipping is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to navigating the Singapore property market.
Exactly. And it's a piece that might not fit everyone's puzzle. It's certainly not for the faint of heart.
Well, Serene, you've definitely given us a lot to chew on today. I feel like I have a much better understanding of the complexities and considerations involved in flipping new launch condos. It's a whole lot more than just buy low, sell high.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about the market, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions.
Couldn't agree more. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of flipping new launch condos. We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Remember, property in Singapore is more than just bricks and mortar. It's a journey. So do your research plan carefully and most importantly, enjoy the ride.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure sharing my insights.
And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Singapore Property Talk Law. We'll catch you in the next episode.